It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
But you guys know we have multiple copies. This is kind of an older edition.
Mm-hmm.
We have this version back here. But when you look at the Millionaire Next Door, you don't have to go very far. I mean, you can see right there on my paperclip is because, Dr. Stanley, he didn't mess around. He kind of gave you right at the beginning the 7 factors of becoming a millionaire next door.
Yep.
And it was some pretty common trends, and we can even put these up there on these 7 factors.
Sure.
Is that they live below their means.
Yep.
They allocate their time, energy, and money efficiently in ways conducive to building wealth.
Yep.
Got to turn the page. Number 3, they believe that financial independence is more important than displaying high social status.
Love it.
Number 4, their parents did not provide economic outpatient care.
Okay.
Their adult children are economically self-sufficient.
Love it.
They are proficient in targeting market opportunities.
Okay.
They chose the right occupation.
Love it. So these are the 7 factors. And when was this book written? When was the
1996.
1996. So Dr. Stanley said, hey, in 1996, I figured it out. These are the 7 factors that I've noticed across wealthy people.
So bring up prop number 2.
Okay, prop number 2.
Chris Hogan wrote Everyday Millionaires.
Yep.
This is part, if y'all don't know, Chris is kind of like Dave Ramsey's right-hand guy on personal finance.
Sure.
So Ramsey Solutions, they have lots of research. Matter of fact, this book is based upon supposedly the largest research study of millionaires.
Largest pool of millionaires that's ever been studied.
So all you have to do on this one, and man, I totally wrinkled some things, but if you look at Chris's table of contents, let's look at chapter 7. Live on less than you make. Wait a minute.
It sounds a lot like Dr. Stanley's, they live below their means.
There's a reason FTE Daniels slipped that right underneath. They live below their means. Chapter 8 is think ahead. Millionaires are goal-oriented. Wait a minute.
Oh, they allocate their time, energy, and money efficiently, working towards common goals, towards things they want to achieve.
Chapter 9, do what it takes. Millionaires are hard workers.
Oh, so they think that being actually financial independent is more important than high social status. They work hard towards that goal.
And then stick to it. Millionaires are consistent.
So they choose the right occupation. They know what they're going to do and they stick with it and they move through. Yeah, there's a lot of common threads there. So Chris's book was written what, in 2018, 2019, sometime around that, right?
I think it was it 2016, 2018? Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
You know what? Hang on.
But it was a number of years after 1996, yet
2019.
The data hasn't changed. The information hasn't changed. It seems to be pretty consistent through time.
This book right here was published in 2019. So, but what I think is interesting is that we can go even a step further.
Yep.
We have our own wealth study that we do on our clients that are money guy clients, and we found some interesting trends too. We found optimistic.
So yeah, are millionaires more or less optimistic when it comes to their general view or outlook on life? The majority of millionaires consider themselves to be optimists. So we actually pooled our group of millionaires. These are Money Guy listeners that have turned into Abound Wealth clients. And we found that 81% of them would self-classify as optimists. So if you're thinking about one of the traits of being a millionaire, optimism and thinking the glass is half full as opposed to half empty is probably a pretty consistent thought.
So that's a powerful one. The second one is these guys are, and you heard this both from Chris Hogan, you heard it from Dr. Stanley, they're starters, self-doers in a lot of ways. And you can see that in the stat that do millionaires actually inherit their wealth? Our research, and this ties into those 2 previous books that I mentioned, the exact same data.
Yeah, we found that 11% of the folks that we pulled inherited over $100,000. So I would argue that that's inheriting some wealth. Like if you inherit 6 figures, that's material. That's going to give you
definitely
sort of a step up. Another 12% inherited less than $100,000. So now we're not 6 figures. They had some level of inheritance, but maybe not a meaningful thing that's going to be super life-changing. But 77% of the folks that we pooled inherited nothing.
Yeah.
They are first-generation millionaires, which is pretty remarkable.
So if you think about that, I mean, it really is amazing how you start noticing all these trends. But I wanted to distill it into, I think when I looked at this, I was like, there's even more here. It's because you hear, the 7 traits, and then, Everyday Millionaires has all these survey data. And I was like, I think when I see this, I start spotting that there's actually 3 key ingredients that you have to recognize, and they kind of make up all these components you hear about, talked about in all these other publications. And those 3 key ingredients is discipline.
Number 1.
Money.
Number 2.
And then time. And I want to explain what I mean by these. You guys, you've heard me talk about this because I've been throwing out those 3 words a lot recently because they keep popping in my brain. They keep just jumping out. And I'm like, if everybody can just understand these 3 components, they will know what the most important parts of wealth creation actually are.
Because if you can figure these 3 out, it's not that difficult to become wealthy. It's a fairly simple process. Not necessarily an easy process, but pretty simple. It's only 3 ingredients. It's hard to screw up that recipe.
Well, yeah, and it's just like there's so many checklists. I mean, when I think about processes, you can get overwhelmed.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I do think systems like Dave Ramsey's Baby Steps works for a good group of people. I think financial order of operations for the more advanced type of planners is good. But at the end of the day, when you start out, you got to start somewhere. 3 seems like about the right number to start with so that you don't let the big stuff slip by. So that's why I want to go deeper into each one of these. So the first one, discipline. Let's talk about discipline a little bit.